Here we go.
All right. It's Eric Deloach, your residential book author, and we have one of our, favorite guests, Mr. Kelly. We will allow him to introduce himself again for everybody, especially for Mr. Rock, but we're going to let him introduce himself again, and I think he has some things that he wants to say, so we're glad to be available to hear and talk with him. So this time, go ahead and introduce yourself again, sir.
Yeah, my name's, well, they call me Captain Kelly in the nautical magazines and things, but my name is Clive Howard Kelly, born on the 17th of the 7th, 1940. Hang on, there's some not leave me, continue there. That's it. There were some letters in front of the screen there. Now I've done it right, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah. So last week, Prince Edward and Princess Sophia came to visit us in Preston.
Okay.
I made a 5-flute stick. The picture can be seen on my website and on my Twitter.
Right.
And I took my parrot and we went and played the national anthem. My parrot sang the national anthem and sat on my flute as it was filmed for the television and things.
Right.
That photograph is now on my Twitter and my website. So if you want to see it, Prince Edward then came alongside where I was with the police. All the police women were trying to get photographs with me, selfies as they call them, to put into the Lancashire Constabulary Facebook page. You know, because you don't always see a parrot singing the national anthem, and a guy dressed up like the Queen's Guard playing it with a parrot on his stick. So that was very interesting. It was a good day. We enjoyed that, but it took a lot of energy. And then all of a sudden yesterday, at the Queen's funeral, Queen Elizabeth, as you know, is lying at rest and people are visiting. And on the BBC channel, talking about the funeral and everything in the big crowds, they mentioned Lord Roberts being one of the lords of the Queen of England that was very famous, which reminded me that, I used to be the boyfriend of Lady Kathleen Roberts, who was Lord Roberts' daughter. She was called the Right Honourable Katie Roberts or Kathleen Roberts. And when I was invited to the stables, which is their mansion house, it's called the Stablery or the Saddlery in Bournemouth, which is in the south of England, in the New Forest, where the Queen used to keep her horses when she wanted to go galloping in the New Forest. She kept them at the saddlery of Lord Roberts. So Katie and I, she took me to meet her father, because I met her at the Cromwellian Club in London. The Cromwellian Club was where they first had Legalite roulette. It's a game that I used to become the banker of to make a lot of money.
Well, let me ask you this: when did you first meet the royals in your life?
The very first time would be at a party just outside of London, where everybody was invited by a filmmaker called Lawrence Blair, who had a TV series called Myths, Magic and Monsters. And he also wrote the best-selling book called The Ring of Fire, The Circle of Fire. And he was well in with all the top-notch people in London. And he invited me to a party at a mansion house and a farm just outside London. And that's where I first met Princess Margaret. She was there. And we all sat around the fireplace. We'd all taken LSD. It was it was an introduction at that time.
Now, how old were you at that time?
let me think. It would be around about 77. Then I would be 34.
Okay, 34.
Yeah, 34.
Okay.
No, this isn't the time I was with Lady Kathleen Roberts, or the Right Honourable.
Right.
That was in 1968.
Okay, so really somewhat 1968.
Yeah, so it's 9 years difference between the two royals.
Right.
And then, of course, we went to.
Were you starstruck? Were you starstruck?
No, I didn't. There was just a load of young, posh-speaking girls in the middle of the night, all stoned out of crust, passing glasses of champagne around, sitting, keeping our hands warm around a fireplace in a big old Victorian mansion in a forest just outside London.
Right.
And it wasn't only Princess Margaret. I mean, that's the only one I recognised, but there were several. I mean, Princess Elizabeth, the Queen, could have been there for all I know.
Right.
I mean, we'd all, Lawrence Blair had called it the magic night of introduction to the magic mushroom. But It wasn't magic mushroom, it was the magic lysergic acid. And it wasn't against the law, it wasn't even recognised then, except a few in people, you know, the in crowd, that knew about this mind-opening, expanding thoughts, enjoying music, seeing the colour of music, and seeing different things in your own mind that you've never seen before. It was fashionable. It wasn't, oh, that's naughty, that's a drug, you know, because it wasn't even known again in the law then, you know.
Right. So did you have a lot of fun?
Well, you know, when you take LSD, you have some good fun, and you have the horrors.
Okay.
You get everything in extreme.
Okay.
So I had a dog fight with a chap called John Pierre Dutillé,
right,
because I went dressed as a dog, because we all went in different costumes, you know. And that's why I didn't know if the Queen was there or Princess Diane was there. I knew that Margaret was there because I'd seen her before. I'd encountered her before and had chats with her before, being a street photographer outside Buckingham Palace, you know. So I knew all the royals because I was the photographer of the Queen's Guards and the tourists that came to see them. So when you take LSD, it's really very difficult to explain. You open up parts of your mind that's never been opened before.
Okay.
And you have experiences that you've never had before. And that is why if you take lysergic acid, as recommended by the man who discovered it, whose name was Timothy O'Leary, who set up a whole hospital in America for psychological problems people have. And he was curing people of sex phobias and all sorts of psychological problems by giving them a course of lysergic acid or LSD. And he opened the Summer Mill or Millwall, I forget the name exactly, I know Mill was in the name, hospital and psychological curing center in America. Mm-hmm. Timothy O'Leary, look him up on Google.
Right.
Timothy O'Leary. And his partner was my friend, and also partner in some things we did in London, like selling peace signs. His name was Tanbi Mutu, who was a prince from Ceylon. Yeah, so that's that story of the LSD. Well, the Queen, Kathleen, I've told you about. I've told you about Princess Margaret. You know, Princess Margaret had a house on the same island as, well, she still has. Right. It's called Mustique, where my boat was attacked because I went to get the show from Mick Jagger. Remember, I told you they tried to sink my boat and they wrecked me, and I went to the hospital for a year They broke my arm, legs, and everything because I went there on my boat, survival crime run.
Right.
And it was on all the television in all the islands as I went along, like from Antigua to St. Martin to St. Kitts. It said Captain Kelly's going to get the show from the Rolling Stones. Well, when I got there, they attacked me, the Coast Guard, and sunk the boat, half sunk it. They didn't know that it did not sink altogether. You remember I told you I built an unsinkable boat.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what happened there. So I'm just going to lean back. Can you still see me well enough?
I can see you well. Let me ask you now with was it what Princess Margaret? Which
yeah.
was she a fun person? Was she approachable, or was she kind of, you know?
Well, we're all singing together. We even sang Lonnie Donegan's song, My Old Man's a Dustman.
Right.
You know, he wears the dustman's hat. He wears got blimey trousers, and he lives in a council flat. Oh, yeah. She was singing that with me and laughing and joking. Because, you know, they were not only taking LSD,
right,
but drinking champagne and smoking doobies at the same time, you know.
Was
just
she
a normal night out,
right,
with what they call the in crowd of London. She was just one of the gang, you know.
Was she an attractive lady at that point?
Not well. I mean, sexually or how? How do you mean?
Well, you know, as that's a beautiful woman, or she's an attractive woman, you know, just like that.
Yes, she was. She's always been attractive. I mean, the Queen is super attractive, and Margaret's very similar. You know, they're very beautiful women.
Right.
I wouldn't say she didn't wear a mini skirt. She wore slacks.
Right.
So I couldn't say she was sexually attractive, but
right.
She was attractive as a woman.
Did you flirt with her?
Well, I flirt with everybody when I'm stoned, don't I?
Yeah. So you just say, "Hey, good looking. What you got cooking?"
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, good looking. What do you got cooking? I'm cooking something up for you. Yeah, we had a good time. But you see, what spoilt it was Jean-Pierre Dutilleux, the film director.
Right.
He wore a dog outfit, like a dog.
Right.
He was dressed like a bulldog, and I was dressed like a basset hound.
Right.
So as soon as he came in there, he started to growl at me, and I growled at him. And we had a real dog fight. Biting each other and squealing and yapping, yeah, all that.
So Princess Margaret was
she
laughing.
Was watching.
She had a good time. She had a good. She loved it.
Yeah.
She loved it.
I suppose in a way we were entertaining as well. You know, you just when you at a party like that, the slightest thing that happens that can make people laugh.
Yeah.
You exaggerate it to make them laugh even more, don't you?
Yeah. So did she was laughing, huh?
Yeah.
Man, that was a good night, huh?
Yeah, it was a terrific night, and it was the driver that drove us back into town in the morning at 7 o'clock.
Right.
Was the chauffeur.
Right.
Of the royalty, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now. What are your thoughts and what are your feelings now? Because I guess it's a very emotional time in England and the UK with the loss of, you know, a queen. How many years was she? Was she queen for about 60 years or
70?
70 years.
Yeah, well, she was my mother, you see, because she was the mother of everybody. But you must remember, my mother took me to see her, and I actually talked to her when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you actually heard
her
your mother, and you both heard this royal speak.
Yeah, and when I was 12 as well, twice.
And she did she say anything about you? Did she say, "Hey, that's a good looking lad"?
Oh, I don't remember. I just remember the smiles and hello, little boy, and it was very sunny, and the guards, 5 or 7 guards, dropped face down on the tarmac. It was so hot, you know.
Right.
And she was a little bit perturbed about that. It was hot, and she was fully dressed, sitting on a horse in front of me. Yeah, she was sitting on the horse, and I was just stood looking up at the horse.
Right.
You know, and she was looking down at me, and the guards behind her were dropping. So yeah, we we had that meet, and we had another meet sometime later when I was 12.
Now, when you were 7, how old was she at that point? When she was on the horse?
Oh, blimey, she's what?
96 is when she passed here now, at age 96.
Well, take 7, 75, 5. She'd be 75, wouldn't she? What question was he was asking? Something about how old?
No, you were 7 years old with your mother, and you were talking to the Queen. And how old was she?
7.
How old do you think she was at the time?
Well, she must have been 81. Take 7 off. What did you say? 96. She'd be 89.
Yeah, but I'm saying you met her when you were 7 years old and talked with her.
That's right. Yeah.
So was she probably 25 or 30 at the when you were 7? Maybe she was 30 something.
Yeah. I can't remember that. No.
Yeah. She looked relatively young.
Which is the photograph of her is everywhere in all of the her sitting on a horse at that particular time with all the guards behind her. It's a very famous photograph.
And you're good friends with Prince Edward, right?
Prince Edward I met. I'm not good friends with him.
Okay. Did you ever meet King Charles? Did you ever meet him?
No.
Never met him. Okay.
No, but I've sent a letter to him.
Okay. Okay.
And the government of Antigua, the island of Antigua, sent a letter to him, recommending him to help me.
Right.
He knows of my work. I'm almost certain of that, but I've never met him.
Now, Edward. I mean, not Edward, Prince Edward. Now, did he ever come to Brazil and visit you there?
No.
You only saw him in England.
Only met him in Preston.
Okay.
Last week.
Oh, you talked with him last week?
Yeah.
How was that?
Last Thursday. What day is today? Sunday. It was last Thursday.
How is he a nice guy?
Well, how can he looks to be a very nice guy. I mean, he talked to everybody. He was nice with the children. He really liked my wife, Jessiara. He had a good conversation with her. There's a good photograph of them talking on my Facebook page.
Right.
So he's a nice guy, and it was a nice day anyway. It was a beautiful day in the park. I was supposed to tell you something else, but I've forgotten now. Just that I found out today. I was quite surprised today when I found out by the new television program, which is called Earth X.
Right.
Remember that? Earth X.
Earth X.
Earth. Yeah. Earth X. It's channel 79 in England. I don't know what it is in America, but Earth X is all about ecology and the planet and nature.
Okay.
And it's just the one we've been wanting since I first went into making films. And it's eventually just come out now, just started. And I've been watching all day. And it's one question after another, for instance, that I've been asking, why we're doing this to the Earth. And one of the facts that I found out today, which was very surprising, and well, that's why I want to tell you, is because of the ice melting, although a lot of people are now saying it's not because they're being paid. You know, if you're a multi-corporation leader and they say to you, look, we'll arrange for £1 million to go into your account, if you say there is no global warming, then you would do it if you were corrupt, right? Well, most of them.
Right.
So it's been said this week by certain politicians and important people that there is no global warming, that Greta Thunberg was just wrong or lying, and it's not happening. But I'll tell you, it is happening. From my personal, I'm not listening to the news. I'm listening to my mind. I'm looking at it through my own eyes.
Right, right.
Remember, I've been traveling the world when everybody else has been sitting at home. I've been traveling the world non-stop for all my life since the age of 13. Mm-hmm. So I've been talking to all the tribal people around the world and learning more than everybody else on this planet. They've all been going to university and college and school. Well, I left school at the age of 9 years of age. And so whilst they've been studying things like arithmetic and biology and history, and I've been studying how to survive in nature, personally, not reading a book. It didn't come out of no book. It came out of personal experiences and the different times I was in different prisons around the world, including China, and New Zealand and Australia. Wow. Yeah, well, you do. When you start to sell things on the streets of those countries, they arrest you because they don't want you to sell things on their streets. They want you to buy things from the shops. So if I'm making money in their country, they arrest me and put me in prison for something called obstruction.
Okay.
Or selling without a license or trading without a permit. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it exists all over the world.
I know, but isn't it ridiculous?
Well, everything about this system really is ridiculous. Everything from wearing a collar and tie like a hangman's noose around your neck is ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, think about it. So what's more stupid than wearing concentration on your neck like that? I mean, only what we call straight people do that. Straight people don't think they get told what to do.
It's true. It's true.
True. And people like me and other people that tell the truth through personal experience are outlaws, and they're going to lock us up in prison.
It's ridiculous.
Because knowledge is not an advantage nowadays. It's a disadvantage because the more you know, the more problems you have to confront when you tell the truth, because they'll call you a liar.
Why don't you just tell them to all go jump in the lake?
Well, I'm telling them in the new book I've written, and it'll be out in 2 weeks. Yeah, it's called Clive Alive. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Now, wait. Is this the second book, third book, your book? Because you
third.
Okay, everybody. So you have to. We have to. Congratulations. When is this third book?
Remember, the other two were ripped off, weren't they? Do you remember? I told you.
Right. So when is this new book? When can we?
Well, it's going to be released on Amazon.
Okay. When will it be available for purchase?
Well, I don't know, because the man that's arranging that side of it for me, called Michael. Do you know his second name, Jesse? I call it what? McGregor. He's Michael Computer. He runs my website for me.
Okay.
Michael McClellan. That's it. Clellan.
McClellan.
Because my eyes are going, I've gone blind now in one eye. This eye's gone.
Okay.
And this eye today, I couldn't watch the TV because it's going also.
Okay.
And my fingers, well, they don't always obey. I try to type and I get cramp, and yeah, I'm going. I'm going fast. And so, Michael,
no, you're staying long.
Well, I don't want to leave.
You have to tell yourself positive thoughts, even if negative things happen, and then positive things will happen. Say, I'm staying long, and whoever's causing this problem with me, go jump in the river.
I'll put that at the end of the book. I'll write that the cap of the book at the end. I'll say, Eric says, go jump in the river. Anyway,
yeah.
I don't know when you're going to release the other two. This will be 3 now. Interviews.
I think we only 1 back. I'm gonna release it next week.
No, you're not. You're 2 back, and this is the 3rd.
You think I'm 2 back? You said.
Yeah, and this one will be the 3rd.
Well, we'll release 1 next week for sure.
Right, because
I'm gonna release 1 next week for sure.
And then 1 the week after, I hope.
It's coming, but the one of them will be released next week for sure.
Okay.
That's a promise. I promise you. That's a promise to you.
I didn't yet tell you. Right, I'm holding you that to promise. Listen, everybody, You heard what he said. The one will be released next week.
Yeah.
And there's still 2 more to be released after that. And one from a young lady called Jaffa, wasn't it? McCaffer or something. Your friend there in America. She interviewed as well. And it hasn't come out yet. Anyway, what I found out today is this. And it's very important, very indeed important.
Okay.
As I said, although people who in high places are paid because they can use the microphones to get through to the world, on the television, they are paid for this to say, oh, there's no global warming.
Right.
And I'm not paid to tell you there is a global warming.
Right.
And here's some proof of it. Today on TVX, Earth X. All right?
X.
X.
Yes.
They told us that 200 antelopes died a few weeks ago.
Wow.
With anthrax, all at the same time.
Wow.
In Iceland. But had no contact with anybody or anywhere else at that particular place.
Right.
And they found out through analyzing why they died that because the earth is melting, the ice.
Right.
It's like when you want to, you have some food and you want to preserve it, you put it into the refrigerator.
Right.
It doesn't go bad and die on your plate. Right. So sometimes when a person or a bacteria appears to die, it is just frozen.
Okay.
And you can bring it back to life.
Right.
By unfreezing it. This is what they call cryogenics. Walt Disney is already preserved in the ice now.
Wow.
He's not died. He's in cryogenics.
Okay.
You could pay and you can have your body frozen if you've got cancer.
Right.
And they keep you frozen until they found a cure for that cancer. And then they will defrost you, right?
Right.
And bring you back to life. And then with the surgery or the medicine that they've discovered, they can make you better from the cancer.
Right.
Well, what happened now is that 200 antelope died all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The disease they discovered to be a new strain of anthrax.
Right.
And by analyzing the water around where they died, they found that the ice had melted and released the very old disease.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, just look at it.
It's very sad.
No, there's going to be so many more, isn't there? You think how many different diseases died in the frost?
Right. Well, let me get you on record, and we'll talk about that next time. We only got 2 minutes left. Tell me, and of course, we'll do another interview. Don't worry about it. So tell me, what are your thoughts on the passing of the Queen?
I'm happy that she has gone to join my commandant, who was the commandante of Training Ship Warfleet, where I used to go when I was 17 years old as a cadet to train to be an officer in the Royal Navy or the Merchant Navy. And Prince Philip, who was the consort to the Queen, was our commanding officer.
Okay. Okay.
And he used to come and teach us defense and other things like that.
He was a nice guy. He was a nice guy.
Very, very, very. So when you ask me the question of how do I feel about the Queen passing on, my answer is I'm quite happy that she is now happy again with her consort, who was my commandant.
Okay. Okay. So we'll end it on that, and we will. I will. If I don't release the video next week, then I'll have to jump in the river. But I will I will release it next week.
Come and jump in the river here in Preston. I can save you.
Okay.
Oh, let me tell you something else.
Yeah.
The Queen got her diploma for life saving when she was 14 years of age.
Okay.
And I got mine when I was 14 years of age, the same certificate given to us by Prince Philip, who was my commandant and her consort. Okay.
We'll end it on that, and I will release the video because I don't want to jump in the river.
Right. I prefer you release this one because this one's about royalty, and royalty should come out now.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay, then. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Have a good hot chocolate.